Welcome everyone to Literacy TV with your host, Mr. Scott. I hope everyone had a fantastic and safe weekend. I think it's safe to say that we're all stuck at home and wondering how are we going to practice our oral communication English skills, Mr. Scott. Well, to answer that question, I'm going to say, I want you to pick up the phone today and I want you to call a friend and I want you to speak English for 10 minutes on that conversation with your friend. So for today's lesson, I'm going to give you 11 hints, tips, or tricks in speaking English. Take a deep breath and speak. The more you think about speaking, the more nervous you're going to get. Just try speaking more. Tip number 2. Don't apologize for not knowing everything, not speaking English. You're an English learner. You're trying what you do. You're trying your best to learn English every single day and learning new vocabulary. English isn't easy. So never apologize for wanting to learn more. You could say, instead of apologizing, I'm an English learner. Could you speak a little slower? I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Or could you repeat that? Or you can even re-emphasize the phrase that was not understood clearly. But never apologize for being a learner. Tip number 3. Stop translating every word for word from your language to English. You are not a translator. You are not learning when you are translating your home language to English. English comes from learning English to English. That's the way you're going to be learning it. Listen for words, listen for cues, listen for pronunciation. Tip number 4. Train your ears to understand. You need to focus and listen. Train your ears to listen for words that you already know in English. Don't focus on grammar or single words. Focus on the words that you do know. Focus on words that may be easy to understand or easy to say back. Listening to English movies, music, and TV. Listen to the way things are phrased or ordered. If you train your ears, you will automatically start to understand more when people speak English. Training your ears to listen to English will help focus on the big picture, understanding English. You cannot become fluent if you are focusing on words one at a time. It would take you forever to learn English. So please, make sure you focus on what you do know and less focus on what you don't know. Tip number 5, don't be afraid to make mistakes. I see this all the time. Fear can stop you from learning English. Do you go to English class and think that everyone is going to make fun of you or laugh at you when you try to speak English? I hope not, especially not in my class, as we are all friends, but sometimes that feeling may persist. Do you know all the grammar rules but struggle to have conversation in English? Do you avoid speaking with native English speakers and other people that speak English better than you? Well, I've seen that a lot. Everyone makes mistakes. The more you do something, the better you are at it. To be better English speaker and understand more English, you need to stop being afraid of making mistakes. No matter who you are, teachers, students, everybody makes mistakes. We learn from those mistakes. Tip number 6. Keep trying and don't give up. Professional athletes practice a lot. Now, I know a lot about professional athletes. I train them every day at the university. Unfortunately, not of lately, but I used to. They weren't born professional athletes. A ton of hard work and hours and hours and hours went into what they did to be so good at what they do. They could never be a professional soccer player or baseball player without trying. If a professional athlete stopped practicing today, their skills would get worse. The same thing is for English. If you stop reading, if you stop speaking, listening, reading, writing, document use, or oral communication, your skills over time will get worse. You won't even be able to speak English fluently tomorrow or even next month. Over time, if you put in an effort, you will become more comfortable and know a lot more English. Tip number 7, keep a small notebook. Write down important phrases. Well, like everyone says, I always have phrases like see you tonight or see you later or have a good weekend, everyone. Write those down so you can repeat those phrases. Also, if you come across new vocabulary, why not write those down? Such an important thing to learn. New vocabulary giving you new words and a new understanding of the English language. Tip number 8, stop that negative talk. Do you find yourself saying or thinking negative things about learning English? Such as, you're never going to learn English. This is taking so long. English is so hard. I never know what to say. If you do these things to yourself, then you do have negative self-talk about learning English. How do you fix this negative self-talk? How do you change this negative and turn it into a positive? How do you change that? Well, in order to change that negative self-talk, you have to recognize that you're being negative. If you are, rephrase or change your statement. State the negative in a different way. Negative self-talk. I will never learn English, Mr. Scott. Positive self-talk. English is difficult, but I'm going to keep trying, Mr. Scott. I am sure I will get it soon. Being positive will help you learn English quicker. Tip number 9, set goals. Know why you're learning English. What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to speak English fluently? Do you want to get a job speaking English? Are you going to travel to Canada, United States, or any English-speaking country? Do you need to know English for university? Do you want to learn English because all your friends speak English? Think about why you are learning English and set some goals. How long will you study English? Goal number 1 that you need to think about and set. Goal number 2, how will you study for English? Are you going to go to class? Are you going to learn it on your own? Goal number 3, what specifically will you do to learn English? Goal number 4, how will you know when you meet your goals? How will you know that you're fluent in English? Do you feel more confident speaking English? Goal number 5, what will happen when you meet your goal? So, once you get your English skills up to a level where you're able to go to university, work, or whatever you need or want to do with your English skills, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? You're going to pursue university? You're going to pursue employment? Tip number 10, try something new. Have you been trying to learn English the same way for the last year, 3 years, 7 years or more? I've seen people even 10 years trying to learn English by translating. Don't translate, remember that. Try something new. Change is good for you. It will help you to grow and learn. Try listening to English podcasts. Take an English class, Mr. Scott's class. I know everyone takes those classes. Listen to music in English. Watch TV or news in English. Well, let's skip that one with all the bad news as of lately. Putting on the news is kind of a damper on the heart. Watch YouTube. Even watch YouTube English lessons such as Literacy TV or other YouTube literacy sessions. Do a language exchange online or speak to someone, a friend or a relative in English every single day, as much as you can if you want to learn it really quickly. Number 11. Tip number 11. Throw out your textbook or the grammar book out the window. Sometimes I'd like to throw the computer out the window because they don't work. But in this case, the grammar book. Learning English is not just about grammar. Grammar is just don't even worry about grammar. Learn the reading, the writing, the listening, the speaking, and worry about grammar after all of that. Don't be literally and throw it out the window, but put it in the closet. An English textbook should be your only resource when learning English. It should be there for you to use from time to time when you have a question or want to look up something. You don't need to focus on it all the time to be able to learn English. English is not going to come from a book. Well, unless you're reading and writing and comprehension. But English isn't going to be a magic book that you read, learn all the grammar rules, and then you're a high proficient English speaker. English comes from hard work and practice, often, just like athletes we talked about earlier. The more you practice, the better you become at it. So take all those tips next time you want to get out there and have oral communication in English. Use those tips and just go for it. Don't hold back. Have fun. Learn a new language. Well, I hope everyone had a wonderful day today. Enjoyed this lesson, and we will talk soon. Thank you for joining us.